And now for our third presentation, I'd like to welcome Kansai Soka Senior High School from Osaka, Japan to come up and do the presentation.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Saika Amano.
And I'm Sakiko Ochiai.
We are Kansai Soka Senior High School students from Osaka, Japan. Our theme is Heiwa Boke. I think Heiwa Boke is not a familiar term to non-Japanese people. Heiwa Boke could also be called fake peace. I'm sure this sounds somehow familiar to you. Japanese people sometimes say that Japanese are enjoying Heiwa Boke because we haven't experienced any war since World War II. Through our presentation, we would like to introduce the idea of Heiwa Boke. Let's start our presentation.
This is our outline. We talked about the situation in Japan, survey, discussion, conclusion, and action plan. First, let's look at the situation in Japan. There are several concerns. In 1945, Japan lost World War II. Since then, Japan has been protected by the power of America. In 2017, the Treaty of the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons was adopted. However, Japan didn't join this treaty because the US was opposed to it. Next is concerns about the relationship between the US and Russia. The INF Treaty is a disarmament treaty to abolish intermediate-range nuclear weapons that was adopted in 1987. In 2018, the United States withdrew from this treaty, and so did Russia. As a result, this leaves Japan within range of the intermediate-range nuclear weapons if Russia were to use them. Next concern is about North Korea, which has nuclear weapons. It seems that they are continuing to produce them with ICBMs. Unfortunately, Japan is within the ICBM range of North Korea. Actually, a missile flew over Japan in 2017. North Korea is a neighboring country of Japan, so the impact on Japan would be potentially big.
Japan is the only country to have experienced the damage of wartime nuclear weapons directly. Therefore, we believe Japan has a responsibility to tell the story of atomic bomb survivors and to seek the abolishment of nuclear weapons. But is it the case that Japanese people may be actually indifferent to the nuclear issues? To find out, we made a survey. The survey was administered to 10th and 11th graders, and we received 351 responses.
This is a survey that we made. We divided the survey into two sections. First section shows how many students have awareness and knowledge of nuclear weapons, and second section shows how the students see the nuclear weapons and their abolition. First, we asked, are you able to explain why America withdrew from the INF? About 68% of students responded that they did not know about it at all. As you can see from this graph, about 90% of students didn't know about it well. Also, only 4% students could explain the treaty well. Next, we asked, are you able to explain why America withdrew from JCPOA? In total, about 96% of students didn't know about it well. But please look at this slide. Do you have interest in the issue of nuclear disarmament? In total, about 75% of students thought that they have interest in nuclear issue. Through these questions, we can see that many students have interest in nuclear disarmament, but they don't have enough knowledge about it. We wondered why. Having interest is great, but it is crucial that students obtain more knowledge. The next question is, how did you feel when North Korea launched a missile over Japan last year? So 60% students felt scared, but only about 13% of the students took action. Also, about 20% students did not even remember this happening. From this graph, we thought that about 40% students had a false sense of security in the safety of Japan.
Let's move on to the section 2. The first question is, do you think that nuclear weapons can be reduced through the efforts of individuals? Few people thought that our action could lead the world to nuclear abolition, but about 45% students disagreed or strongly disagreed that individual efforts were effective. They thought that individual efforts would not lead to the abolishment of nuclear weapons, and they didn't know what they should do. There are some positive comments regarding individual efforts, but actually, half of students think our actions will not have power to abolish nuclear weapons. Within 5 years, do you think Japan could experience a nuclear attack? 17% of students didn't think Japan would experience a nuclear attack. Also, we asked, why do you think so? They answered that we are protected under America's nuclear umbrella, and Japan may be safe and free from threat, and so on. From this result, we found that they just assumed that Japan will continue to be peaceful. They do not see these nuclear issues as their own things. Next. When do you think nuclear weapons will be abolished? About 34% students answered they will never be abolished. Also, about 25% students answered that they would be abolished after 2100. However, after 2100, we will be dead. So, so this answer is similar to never being abolished. We were surprised that more than half of the students think that nuclear weapons cannot be abolished. Why did students answer never be abolished? These are the reasons they gave because people lack of awareness about the problem, and countries are only concerned with themselves, and so on. But one student answered, we can abolish nuclear weapons by 2015, because nuclear abolition is not a wish, but something that what we must do. From this result, we found that half of students don't have hope toward nuclear abolition.
I would like to summarize our survey. First, we realized that many students really didn't know about the current nuclear situation, even though we often research about global issues in class. Also, even though the students think that they have interest in nuclear issue, in reality, they are not well informed. We feel that this is heiwaboke, the Japanese term for fake peace. Now, we would like to introduce the 4 definitions of fake peace. First is an indifference to security and peace. And second is thinking that assumes peace will continue naturally. And third is low sense of the urgency to act. And the last is a sense of thinking only about oneself. It is a false sense of security in the current situation. As a result, especially among Japanese people, They do not feel the urgent threat of nuclear weapons. This is fake peace. We wondered whether fake peace is only Japanese issue. Do you think fake peace is occurring in your country?
I think that other countries don't call it heiwaboke, but they may experience indifference, and some people in your country think of only themselves too.
We think that if people keep having fake peace, current situation will not improve. Today's theme is nuclear risk reduction, crisis prevention. So we thought that the highest risk was not necessarily an increase in the power of nuclear weapons or the number of nuclear warheads, but complacency and ignorance within our hearts that accept the existence of nuclear weapons. First, the main risk is that we don't feel danger. This attitude where people are indifferent to world issues and they assume peaceful world is dangerous. Now the risk of nuclear weapons is increasing. However, in reality, some high school students didn't feel the risk because they lacked knowledge about nuclear weapons. Also, they assumed nuclear disarmament is too big for them to solve. As a result, they felt it is okay not to make any efforts. The existence of a nuclear weapon is like a gun pointed at ourselves. Would you say this is peaceful? Happiness and peace you feel in this situation is just fake. It is fake peace. We are not saying that people should feel danger of nuclear weapons all the time, but we hope more people will become more aware of the nuclear disarmament and feel it is connected to their daily lives.
So everyone, this part is so important. The second risk is that we accept nuclear weapons in our hearts. The result of this kind of thinking leads to a mindset where people think that nuclear weapons are necessary and that nuclear abolition cannot be achieved. It is a passive mentality that outlives the world. It cannot be helped. Why does it the higher risk? The best existence of nuclear weapons illustrates how countries selfishly prioritize their own profit over people's precious lives. This way of thinking tramples on the dignity of life. As long as this thought exists, other weapons may appear even if nuclear weapons are abolished. Thus, in the end, if anything should be attacked, it should be this selfish mindset that allows nuclear weapons to exist at the weapons exist at the expense of others. That's why we have focused on the aspect of the heart. Our school motto is never build your happiness upon others' misfortune. In other words, we can say never build our own country's profit upon the sacrifice of other countries. Unfortunately, the existence of nuclear weapons shows that countries want to protect their resources, profits, and safety using power at the expense of others. This risk is origin of heiwaboke, that is thinking of oneself only.
After the discussion and the result of the survey, we reached a conclusion. In order to reduce the risk, we think these two things are very important. First is to be more informed. We found that students don't have enough information about nuclear weapons, which causes them to lack a sense of urgency. Therefore, we think that spreading knowledge and information is the first step for nuclear disarmament. Second is to declare the ultimate evil of nuclear weapons. To repeat, it is important for us to spread the idea that never build our own country's profit upon the sacrifice of other countries. It is important to continue to promote these things.
Not only spreading information, we want to support the involvement of these non-governmental organizational activities. The reason some students do not take any action toward nuclear disarmament is because they don't know what to do. Therefore, knowing these activities encourages the student to do something. It is also important to have a clear goal and the purpose. For example, a friend said, "Why would the signature campaign lead to nuclear abolition?" Then we asked a social studies teacher this question. He said that real purpose of the signature campaign is that by signing, we are determining in our own hearts to abolish nuclear weapons. Through that, we also realize that having a clear goal and purpose is important.
This is our action plan. We want to make a project. The project's name is Anti-Fake Peace Movement. The goal is the attitude that people come to realize that nuclear disarmament is their issue. It is our own issue, right? We must struggle against the real enemy, which is the ways of thinking that trample upon the dignity of life and the mind gives up on nuclear abolition. To achieve this purpose, we would like to propose some activities in our school.
First, we make posters which we will put on the walls in our restrooms on campus. We want to make posters which add information and questions about nuclear disarmament. Secondly, we make more discussion time in our school to talk about this issue. Thirdly, we create an Instagram account to spread ideas of nuclear disarmament. We thought it could spread information easily among young people. We want to continue to update it. Finally, by using our open campus activity to the local community, we make a quiz to draw everyone's attention to the nuclear issue. We would like visitors to enjoy and be informed while learning about nuclear weapons. We can also pose questions to the visitors like this. We tried actually doing these activities in our school. We distributed a paper to some students. We asked that students to write why they think people should abolish nuclear weapons. These activities look small, but by continuing these things, we can achieve nuclear abolition step by step. We have hope for that.
Mr. David Krieger, who established the Nuclear Age Peace Foundation, said this. As Dr. Krieger said, the future is created by our action. Also, Ms. Finn, the executive director of ICANN, said this. To create peace, to create everyone's happiness, to create a world where nuclear weapons do not exist. Let's just do what we can do step by step. Thank you for listening.
Are there any questions?
Okay, is it on? Okay. Hi, I'm Marturia. I just want to say I really enjoyed your presentation. I was wondering, what was the process that you went through when making your survey, and why did you choose those specific questions to ask students at your school?
Thank you for, thank you.
And that means is why we choose this question in the survey. Because we, in the high school life, we don't talk about nuclear issue, and when the North Korea flew missile over Japan, many students don't believe that North Korea launched for Japan. And I think that Japanese people may not be familiar to nuclear issue, and so we want to know how many students feel the nuclear weapon is familiar to them, and how many students know about nuclear issue. Yeah, so thank you.